Standard Time. So I'll start recording now and I'll call the meeting to order. So thank you everyone for joining us. Hopefully the training went well for you. I know there was a lengthy email chain about a lot of people couldn't access through my PLN, and thank you, Mr. Ger, for sending out, and Mr. Myung for sending out the proper links, and everyone was able to figure it out, I hope. So in case you weren't aware, it's going to be a daily reflection for the next 4 days, and that's how you complete the training. But today's training, if I can share my screen with you, has to do with my agenda item for today. So today what I wanted to share with us was, first of all, from hearing the social emotional learning piece, that really spoke to me, and I just kind of wanted to do like a round robin emotional check-in with all of you. So we'll let the birthday girl go first. So and then we'll just go round robin from there. So can you read us the prompt, please, Brenda, for the emotional check-in?
All right, it says, what emotions are you experiencing right now? Rate/quantify it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I reflected a lot with what she was saying, how like we maybe get up later and like we're experiencing more sort of, well, the social distancing is making us experience like different sorts of emotions. So I think I'm doing okay, actually. Being a family is actually helping a lot. And quantify it. Do we give it a number? Should I give it a number? From like 1 through 10, I'd be like probably about an 8. Okay. So I'm doing pretty well.
Thank you, Brenda. Who'd like to go next?
I can go next.
Okay.
Yeah, I when I was listening to the video, I think it kind of, at least for me, it kind of I don't want to say common sense, but it's just stuff that already I kind of thought about it before. Looking at the video, I think I spoke to a couple coworkers about the same issues, especially our students, how their habits are becoming terrible. And I think I shared that on the last meeting where, just having that emotional kind of transition to continue, continue to be motivated to get up and do stuff early on. Luckily I have I don't know if it's luckily, but I have a child and she's up super early, so I kind of don't have a choice to slip in. But it did really resonated to me that it is definitely trying to the challenge is trying to kind of accommodate to the schedule that it is in the comfort of your home. It's kind of the challenge, but in terms of quantifying it, how I am, I think I am at 8 as well. I think I've been coping fairly well with the situation, and I guess like Brenda said, it helps to be at home with the family, and then I think at least for my wife and I, we're in the same boat. She's also a teacher, so we kind of bouncing ideas back and forth and supporting each other as much as we can, just to make the best of the situation.
Thank you, Cruz. Who else?
Oh, I'll go next. Hi, sorry. I'm making N95 masks for people. They're
yeah, nice. I have some of those too.
So, whoa, I'm really dark, so it doesn't really matter if I have my video on. Okay. So right now, in terms of like school, I'm okay. I think in terms of school, I'm like an 8 or a 9, because I think the week that we were like, are we gonna get out or are we not? Like I kind of knew we were gonna, we were gonna shut down. So I got my students ready, and I think that paid off a lot because I am having a lot like high student engagement. The students that like aren't turning stuff in are the same students that weren't turning stuff in before, and so I put them on the list for the counselors to call, and so hopefully that works out. But I guess like personally, I'm alone with my brother at my parents' house because my parents are stuck in India for the foreseeable future due to the lockdown. So I have been waking up late just because I've been on the phone with the State Department until like 3 a.m. trying to get them back.
Wow.
So I'm not sure when they're gonna come back. And then like my mom got sick over there, so there was like that whole thing with that. But she's better now, so hopefully they just can stay put until we can get like a rescue flight out. But that's like most of my mind is on that rather than anything else.
Sorry to hear that. Thank you for sharing. Who'd like to go next?
Calderon wants to go next.
You, Mr. Monty, since you said my name.
I'm just going to go on and on and on. I'm just
Yeah.
aggravated.
Monty, go.
Okay, I'm just thoroughly aggravated. Not with the, I think the district's handling it very well. I mean, you know, trying to get the trainings up to demonstrate that we're going to be trained in distant learning or remote learning or however you want to call it. So I'm just aggravated. They passed that 2-point-something trillion package in a matter of like 3 or 4 days.
Oh my gosh.
No one knows what's going to be in the darn thing. And I try to wrap my head around what is a trillion, and a trillion is what? $999 billion plus one more billion. That's for 1 trillion. I think, well, what's 1 billion is 999 million plus one more million is a billion. So here we got this $2 trillion package, and I'm thinking, well, World War II only cost us about, in adjusted terms, $4.1 trillion, and we fought this massive war for 4 years, 5 years. So here we are in a matter of 3 or 4 days, boom, $2 trillion, and I'm sure it's all going to go to the correct places, but it just doesn't make sense to me. I'm highly aggravated.
Monty, because money is fake.
Well, they're going to print it. Print. Anyway, finished. But I'm okay. I work out in my yard. I take breaks in between. Where's Miss Cordero? I can't see her face. Where are you? There's Cordero. Hey.
Thank you,
And then-
Monty. Who'd like to share for the sake of time, just to honor the
Okay, I'm
agenda?
done. Finished.
Thank you, Monty. Anyone else before we
Just
move
like-
on?
I'm next.
Okay.
So is Luna already in the meeting?
Yes, he is.
Yeah, I am. I don't know what happened. I couldn't get on, and I was calling you, Calderon.
Yeah. I said I was in the Zoom meeting. I was
So I'm on now,
calling
though.
me right now.
Huh?
And also, Miss Umana, is she in the meeting now? Because she's also calling me.
Mana?
She's not
Maybe
in it.
she needs directions. Anyways, so again, right back to the topic. School-wise, I am kind of overwhelmed. I feel that I sent you an email, Egon. Oh no, it wasn't you. I sent an email to you, Egon, about something else. It was Mr. Dowd. Sometimes I feel that it's really complicated what all the things that they want us to do. And the bottom line is, as we said last meeting, we should keep things simple because we don't know the situation of the students in their house. We don't know if they have not only access academically, but what about emotionally? And here we are with a set schedule. I know that structure, like the PD said, is important, but this is, again, right, go back to what Mr. VML said, right? What they're going to remember is how we support them emotionally more than what they're going to learn. So what I did after the last meeting that we had is I just let all the students know to remind that all the assignments are open with unlimited chances to do, just to give them more flexibility, because I put due dates. I was, on top of reminding them, oh, you need to turn this in, you need to, keep it on time, and sometimes that doesn't work. I guess that if we show flexibility, to students, maybe I get a better outcome, because only few students are actually answering back. And I've been, sending messages through Schoology, and I know that they get them, because I am pretty sure that they all have access, at least the majority. They just choose not to do the work, right? So, again, I don't know what they're going through right now. So because of that, I feel like I'm in a 6. And then personally, well, I have 2 children. I'm also, as I said before, 3rd grade and 4th grade teacher. And they have the schedule. I have an agenda every day for them. So I'm doing that. Then I'm doing the household things because my wife is at work. And I'm being a teacher for Franklin High School. So it's pretty overwhelming, but I am managing. So I think for that, I also have a 6 to that.
Thank you, Calderon, and thank you to everyone for sharing. And I'll actually segue with one of your main points there, Calderon, which is the support and the technology resources that we have. We actually can't assume that they all are checking our messages, and that's part of the counselor's message. And hopefully you guys have been reading the email. Thank you, those teachers that submitted names for our counselors to call, but we don't know if that's all of the names. And Ms. San has been reaching out, and Mr. Gurr as well. along with the counseling staff. And there are some students that we just can't find, and it's really our responsibility to make sure that we're checking in with them, either phone call, Blackboard Connect. Sometimes just sending out messages may not be enough because we're assuming that they have internet. And so we got to just be mindful and exhaust all our resources at our school to be able to locate these students. But thank you everyone for the emotional check-in, and we'll move on to now, if you guys are ready, to the little reflection, which is kind of like piggybacking off of the book on remote learning. And these were the main 6 key points addressed in her book. And I just wanted to kind of have a discussion for all of us about how we can implement this. And I italicized how we can best use it, because of course, this is not a recipe for everyone that's going to look identical for all, nor can you do it all in one day. In case you didn't hear the principal's message the other day, we're not held to one grade per week anymore, because it's kind of impossible, especially with students that just don't have internet. So this is really just a recommendation for remote learning. So these are the 6 points that we learned about in the training today. And I wanted to show you something that I created, which is a sample lesson, but it's actually the lesson I'm currently working on that I'm going to just try to do now with some apps that I've added to the student iPads. And I'll just go ahead and share my screen with you. And if I could just walk you through it, and I'll take questions at the end, just because I wanted to just show you the whole thing first and then address questions later, if that's okay with you. So I'm just following the template that they suggested, and feel free to steal it, borrow it, make it your own, or don't. It's just a recommendation, but I really do agree that this is something that we kind of need to use, because we can't just, and again, this is a message that was brought up at the ILT, because I was at the ILT meeting the other day, and I'm sure you've read a post that the principal put up I think it was last week, that some students are feeling very overwhelmed also, the ones that do have internet access, about tons of work being thrown at them. So we just really need to be purposeful with our lesson development. And I think this is a really good model for that, rather than just posting work. So I'll walk you through the slides. And if you have questions, please just save them for the end so that I can get through this, because we only have an hour. So going through the template, the first thing that oh, hold on, someone's trying to add the group. So it looks like Brenda's trying to add again. Okay, so walking through the template, I'm just using the same exact terminology that I put in quotes as the book. And the first thing that she outlines is that you have to set the lesson. Now for us, this should be pretty familiar, because it's pretty much what a learning intention is, right? It's no different. I'm not saying write this every single day. We're not doing observations obviously anymore, but it's still intentionality for setting the tone of your lesson, like the book said for us, right? So for my example, what am I learning? Why am I learning? How will I know they learned it? For the lesson that I'm working on in my physiology class, we're currently covering the cardiovascular system. And the what am I learning aspect piece for me is, today I will learn how the heart structures, chambers, and valves lead to its various functions throughout the body. Why are they learning it? Well, we just watched a couple of TED Ed videos actually in class using Zoom. And I put so that I can identify heart pathologies, predict them, prevent them, and know what to do in an emergency. And how will I know that they learned it? I put, when I can successfully and creatively illustrate a heart model using Doceri, which is an app I'm going to show you today, or when I can successfully and creatively build a 3D model of a heart, which shows the chambers, valves, and of the heart to explain proper heart structure, function, and what causes heart pathology, such as in the videos we've been watching. So that's kind of how I'm setting up the lesson for them. This is the objective. This is something that I use, but I don't necessarily, suggest that you don't use it if you're not familiar with the SWOBAT, or students will be able to. So I wrote that they're going to identify and illustrate the chambers of the heart, and I sent them a little labeling game that we've been playing to get them familiarized with chambers of the heart and the valves. And then there is a breakout group feature on Zoom that I'm going to have them use to discuss the roles of the heart. From an article that we read in class called The Structure and Physiology of the Heart. And both of these features, the breakout group, is new. And I didn't get a chance to show it to you last time, so I will show you this today. That's why I'm trying to just speed through this, guys, sorry. And then I'm going to show you how to use this other app that I installed today called Doceri. And it actually, for Ms. Ramachandran, you were asking me about a digital whiteboard app. This is it, actually. So I'll show you how to use that today.
Thank you.
Let me just,
I used it.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, let me
Sorry,
just get
sorry,
through
sorry.
this.
Okay.
Okay. So next, the thing they recommend that you do is do some sort of a diagnostic, like a poll activity. For example, Zoom has a poll feature built in, and I'll show you how to use that as well. And so what I'm doing with my class is, now that we've learned about the structures and the functions, I'm going to post either using the poll activity, poll everywhere, or even a Kahoot. I'm going to ask them these multiple choice questions just to kind of, you know, diagnose and just kind of assess what it is that they think they know about this system, right? From there, I just list some of the resources that I'm using for this lesson. You can read this on your own. And one of the biggest takeaways, especially for remote learning, which is what this is, it's not online learning, it's remote learning. And hopefully you can distinguish the two, and we'll talk about that in a second. But she recommends that we have a watch, a read, and a do component for this. And this is really important because that really differentiates from just posting a lot of work for them to do, because there has to be some sort of a do aspect to the lesson, because otherwise, if we're just posting things, then all they're doing is posting, but how do we know they're actually learning, right? So this recipe is very important, I feel. And then there is an apply section that she recommends we do. And so for this is where I'm going to have us do the breakout group session next, where I would have them, for my group, discuss why the heart is often described as a dual pump, give an explanation for it, et cetera, using the share screen feature, which is what I'm using with you guys now. And I'm going to have them use the whiteboard to have them draw collectively their answers. And this is something that you guys are going to do for me in a second too. And then the last component, which is not anything foreign to us, is the assessment, or the checking for understanding. So for me, I'm going to just have a little quiz at the end to assess what they learned. So probably nothing too foreign for most of you, and I'll just exit the share screen. But what I wanted to show you guys now is how you can do the breakout group session. So I'll pause there because I know that was a lot, but again, I know we're limited on time, but that's the basic layout of this remote learning template. Does anyone have any questions about that? I'm sure you learned it from the video today.
Yeah. Can I
So
start?
we're all good, right?
No, can I start with a question?
Oh, sure.
So, you know, what's her name? I think it was Casey.
Keisha, right?
You know, what I paid attention to what she said is when she mentioned lesson design, she said simple lesson design. Like she summarized it in 3 words: watch, read, and do.
That was one aspect of
So,
the lesson design.
yeah. So, you know, my concern is, you know, the use of 5 or more different platforms. Like you're using Zoom, you're using Doceri, you're using so many different things. In my class, because I know my students, right? I'm pretty sure that they will get lost. And I'll need like a lot of time to make them walk through this, right? So I have a student body of 38 per class, right? Imagine a physiology class of 38 plus students. So in my opinion, I think that the use of like one platform, in my case, Schoology, really works. Now, if I don't see a good turnout, then I can try something different. Like for example, you know, a PowerPoint, and they can answer the questions from a PowerPoint. That is something that she said. I mean, like, I really like your lesson template. And that's one question, right? Like, if is the use of like more than 5 platforms, you know,
Yeah,
is it really something that
I agree. I agree. And
that's totally used?
I'm not recommending that, but can I ask a question for you then? So on Schoology, how are you having them watch, read, and do?
I just put links. I put links, and then it's the feedback between the students and myself. And I put links, you know, about a video, an article, and then questions, something like that. And then that's one question, right, about the platforms. Let me just give you the other one and I'm done. The other one is with the passing and failing, I don't know if I'm putting it in the right words, right? Passing, failing, or these are mastery grading.
Master
You know, how do you relate the rigor with that type of grading? Where I'm going to? Like, where is, your classroom shows rigor, but then at the end, you just have to assess them. Either they pass or they fail. I don't think they go hand by hand. I rather keep the way I'm grading my students instead of doing mastery grading. And I totally agree with you. That's the email that I sent you, Mr. Egan, right? About, I want to do what I am doing right now because I feel that students are actually learning and I'm being flexible. Those are my questions.
May I chime in?
Yes.
All right. So I sent out an email earlier. I don't know if everybody got to read it. It's about, out of abundance of caution, we should be careful with what apps or platforms or tools that we're pushing our kids to use in the classroom. LAUSD vets out tools before they push it out for use in the classroom. In fact, the use of Zoom officially is for employees only. And right now, there is actually a lot of restrictions on how we could use Zoom with students. They have published a list of tools that it has been vetted. That means that they do meet the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, and that it would be safe to use to be safe for use in online classroom. And surprisingly, I didn't even see IXL there. So we gotta be careful. Otherwise, we're gonna open up this kind of worms
Can I
when
address
one
that as the
wake up
MDM?
to some legalities. So we have to be careful.
Can I address that as the MDM at the school, Jamel?
Sure.
So that list that you're looking at, is for the apps that have been approved during this time for remote learning. The apps like IXL are not for remote learning. Those are supplemental apps that you can use that are approved through the MDM platform that have an age restriction, and that's how we approve them. So there are two different things you're talking about. So if you look at that list, it has things like Audible, it has things like, that we're using for remote learning, but IXL is not for remote learning. IXL is simply for practicing of skills. BrainPop is simply for practice. It's not for teaching. So they're two different things. That's why you don't find IXL on that list, if that helps to clarify.
All right. Let me just add. So on Schoology, the approved apps actually fall on the LMS, right? The LMS area section. Are you familiar with LMS?
Yeah, the learning management system.
Yeah. So if you click on that, it would actually drop down everything that has been.
I saw that list.
Right. Those are the ones that have been pushed by the district for use in the classroom.
For remote learning, though, IXL is not for remote learning. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It's different.
Yeah, just because I even sent out a ticket to ITD on that one, and they haven't gotten back to me. Yeah, so we'll wait. All right, thank you.
So the question here is, can we use Zoom?
I think I'm gonna. Can I chime in very quickly? I think that the challenge, I think, is we're trying to combine all these different things and to make them work. But I think that Mr. Trujillo is correct. I think that we need to just kind of identify those tools that we have available right now to make remote learning more accessible to students. And I encourage you guys to look into those areas, because I know what BM is also talking about, the privacy and being able to post videos with the students. Well, there's a lot of options on Zoom that you can do to kind of avoid those issues. Like you can disable cameras. If you use those areas, you can completely do your lesson completely just by you talking. If I can share very quickly what I plan to do, I plan to host a live lesson and I'm gonna use Doceri to do the to do my lesson, whatever I need to do. I will have my learning objectives and everything. Students that that want to come into the session are more than welcome. But then at the end of the day, I will push the video on either YouTube channel or put it on Schoology. And then, like the video said, it's important that you kind of understand that everybody's on different times. So having office hours is also definitely something that you can do. So I know that it is very uncertain and it's very difficult to put everything in perspective, but I think that if we kind of be open to try to learn new things and see how everything works with the systems that we have available, I think we can make it work. And I think Zoom, if we can just treat Zoom as probably the best way that we have to communicate students right now and try to utilize it to the best that we can, I think we should just focus on that and just kind of add the tools that are going to make it more reliable and useful for students. Because if we start questioning and start asking, why it might not work or why it's not appropriate, then eventually we're going to get to the, like you said, we're going to open a can of worms, and it's going to be more problems than the one we're trying to do right now.
And I just want to add on to that, where I think Zoom really helps with like the social emotional well-being of students, because they get to like see their teacher or like talk to their friends when they might not be able to. It's like the best way we can mimic a classroom setting. And I mean, I know at least for my students, they look forward to Zoom meetings just so that they can like virtually hang out with everyone that they were so used to hanging out with every day. So in that sense, I think it's a really good tool.
If I can just pause this there, because that's what the next section of my agenda was for us to go into breakout groups and actually discuss what we're currently discussing. So if I can just share that with you, and has anyone done the breakout session so far? Because if not, I wanted to show you how to do that.
Yeah, show me.
Okay, so let me share my screen with you then, and I'm going to take you to the Zoom website, because that's where you actually need to do this from. So let me close my PowerPoint, and hold on, got a lot of chats going here as well. Okay. All right, so let me share my screen with you and show you how you can turn on break rooms. So if you go to your Zoom website, so I'm at my Zoom home screen, which is the zoom.us, and you just click on my account. You click on settings, and then you have different features here. You have, like Mr. Cruz said, you can actually disable a lot of features for privacy. So you can actually turn off their cameras, meaning I wouldn't see any of you. I can actually turn off Mr. Monty's and Mr. Cruz's backgrounds. I can do a lot of features here. So check it out. So from here, the reason that you had to get approved by me is because I turned that feature on today. I'm just trying to mess around with it. But these are all things that you can add. So you have to customize it yourself. So I actually have it set to having my own personal PMI. So my PMI will always be the same one that I shared with you for our weekly meetings. You can also require a password, but I just disabled that because students were getting real confused about the password feature. So I turned that off. That's why none of you needed that today. You can also, you can mute everyone as soon as they come in. So that's something the principal's been doing after she starts her meeting, so that we're not all hearing everyone's background noise. You can actually just mute everyone. I've enabled the chat feature. That's how there's that long chain of chat. But like, if you anticipate, like we do on Schoology, that there's going to be a lot of inappropriate comments, you can actually just disable that right here, and that will get around that concern that Mr. Villamil has. You can also delete, right now I enabled private chatting, so you guys might be talking to one another. You can just turn that off, and that also addresses privacy. You can, what else can you do? Right here, so the whiteboard feature, this is something that I showed you last time that I've turned on for you. And here's the breakout room, Ms. Nazarbati. So I have turned it on, and now let me show you how that actually works. Okay, so by having breakout rooms, what's going to happen now is you guys are all going to disappear off of this screen. You're going to get an invite from me, and in that breakout group, if you could please discuss the agenda topic, I'll share the agenda topic for you that I sent you earlier. I want us in these breakout groups to discuss these questions here. Okay, and I also attached you some other websites from the video on social well-being that maybe you'd like to reach out to or share with your students, or even use for yourself if necessary. But I'm going to go ahead and break you out into groups now, so you're going to all disappear from the screen. We won't be
Can I
talking.
ask you something right
Sure.
before we break out?
Sure.
I wanted to ask you about the poll feature because you use polls, right, with your classes?
I already contacted them. It's not enabled yet, and it's because of the account that we have. So polling is a really cool feature, and I added it into the PowerPoint example that I sent you today. But I already called them, and it's not enabled for our account just because they gave us this emergency access. So hopefully we'll get polling.
Okay, so for right now, no polling.
No, it's not on here. And polling would actually appear at the bottom on your menu bar, but it's not there. It's not enabled yet. And it doesn't show up in meeting settings yet, but I am calling them, and I'm just expecting a call, and I'll find that out and get back to you on that. But great question. Okay, so ready for the breakout? Okay, you're welcome. So here come the breakout groups, guys. So you're gonna get, so when you enable breakout groups, it asks you how many rooms you wanna create and how many people you want in that group. And it's gonna sort us randomly. So because there are 12 people here, I'll just do, let's say 4 groups of 3. Okay, so I created 4 groups. You can manually sort it. So if you know like who doesn't work well together, that might be a good idea. But because we're all professionals here, I'm gonna do 4 groups of 3, okay? So as soon as you get this notification from me, you will start disappearing. All right, guys, discuss, and I'll see you in a couple minutes. You have to accept my invite, Ms. Ramachandran.
Account using my LAUSD email. So they sent a request saying, if you're a school teacher, send us a mail and we'll disable the 40-minute. So so I did that, and they opened my account. So when I tried to click the link for the LAUSD email, I got a message telling me that if I switched to the LAUSD account, I was gonna lose a lot of the features. So I haven't done it. So I do have the polling. And
that's how you get around that.
Yeah, so because I opened my account, I my account like on the day, on the Friday that we went off, I started doing all these stuff. So I submitted my request to Zoom, and so I have not used the LAUSD link. I used my LAUSD account that I started with him. So and I did follow the protocol where I sent an email and they asked me what school you're from and all the stuff. So they sent me an email saying you're good to go. So all the features that I have available right now, are probably the ones that they gave me because I'm a teacher. So and so I do have all those features available for myself. So I don't know if that makes a difference.
Can you share the polling feature with us now since you have access to it? Can you show us how that works?
I think what I have to do, I have to end the meeting and then go out, because I haven't enabled it, but I saw it on my options. So
I have a question for you about the polling feature. So you have that's a great feature to have. So how will you use it as part of your lesson, or you use it part of an assess? How would you like a diagnostic?
So yes.
Check for
So
understanding.
actually I can speak to that because I use polling a lot on Slack. Especially for my meetings with my robotics team. So we constantly asking for pollings. So it's the same thing. So I'm assuming it works the same thing. So you can send a poll, and then all it does is gives you students an option to press 1 or 2. And then that shoots data telling me how many people said yes, how many people said no. So so I'm assuming it's the same thing. You can just ask a question and ask people, it's option A and B, and you just give the choices.
It's like checking for understanding.
Yeah, so it's like a very quick way to assess a simple question. So I've been using polling a lot on Slack. So I figured there will be the same thing. You can just post a question, and then the polling, what it does, it gives each choice a number, and then the kids just press 1 or 2, and then it just shoots out the data very quickly for immediate feedback. So I think it's the same way. But I'll double check it out, enable it, play with it, and I'll
they have a tutorial video on the Zoom website for it, and that's why I wanted to use it, Cruz, because it's really cool. It has more than just a 1 or 2 feature. I'll post that video, and I'm hoping they get back to me today because I wanted to try it out in my class. But thanks, man. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So
also, I think that maybe, I don't know, I know you mentioned last time about how do you connect your iPad to Schoology. You mentioned you had to get this extra program. Well,
that was just for a whiteboard. But now that I have Doceri, I don't need it.
Doceri is just directly to AirPlay. And
I figured that out now.
and it's been working great. I tested it on yesterday. I did an entire lesson. And I mean, I've been using Doceri since I started at Franklin, so I've been using it a lot. So just going back to it was just very easy. My kids like the fact that I can have colors and do all these annotations on it. It's pretty cool. I don't know, I can post a video that I did on I pushed all my videos on YouTube. And this one was really cool because all they saw was Doceri, my work, me speaking on it, and the kids asked questions still and everything, and it was kind of cool. But anyways.
Please, yeah. Hey, actually, even better, Cruz, at our next meeting, would you mind doing the PD on that? Yep. Because I think that's something that a lot of teachers have been requesting, how to actually teach remote learning, because again, just posting things isn't really teaching. There needs to be that, that lecturing, that talking, the interaction, the discussion. And I think Doceri is really good for that. So would you mind maybe next week you can run the PD for us? Show us or at least a part of it to show us how to use that, or share maybe one of your YouTube presentations.
Yeah, I can actually show you the actual how it looks live, so that I can annotate.
Or just send me one, please, and I'll check it out beforehand.
Okay, sure.
Please. Okay, so I'm gonna.
Well, one last question. Can I post a video on the science chat?
Yes.
Or
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, guys. I'm gonna go to the other rooms, and I'll close this group in about 10 minutes. Thanks, guys.
Some legends on the bottom.
No. Look at the bottom. You see chat.
Raise hand or slow down or stuff like that. Maybe that.
No. Go all the way down where it says participants and share screen at the very bottom, and then it says chat. Do you see chat?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just click on that.
Yeah. Well, what I'm just saying is maybe when you have students asking questions or. So right there.
I do this with my AP Cam. So when I'm lecturing, they have to mute themselves. Otherwise, there's a lot of background sound and all. But then they send me questions. So it kind of blinks like there's an orange thing. So you know that somebody has sent you a question. So as you're talking, you get to see that.
Mm-hmm.
So
you can mute them all though, Ms. Ramachandran. You don't have to wait for them to mute themselves.
I know. But on my AP, this thing, like we were discussing some questions from the College Board website. So for them to type it out was hard. So it's better to say, so then they, I tell them, okay, unmute and then speak, because I don't know. I don't want one student answering everything. So, so that's what I do.
So the question originally was, what do we have that we're getting? Because I don't have it in front of me, or do I?
Oh, yeah. It was, what additional support would you like from the school district to support your work?
I think what today's presentation of the professional development that we had kind of touched on a lot of things that I think, making sure that we keep everything flexible, that we really don't overwhelm the students. I think Mr. Egon was saying that some of the students are just getting a lot of work. So that's something I think that made me cognizant of what's going on and trying to reach out to the students just to do a self-check on how they're feeling and just to make a connection. I think that was very powerful. I wrote notes here, but I don't know where they're at. Yeah, emotional check-in, I think, was the term they used.
Yeah. Has everyone had a chance to talk?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't cover
Well,
material.
to the next question. What additional support can we offer to our students and parents? I think we're doing a lot individually as a school site. I think the ongoing part where we, I think I just got the email today, where we submit names, that's going to really help me because they have 43 in each class. So I'm just curious, though. I read that it was the part of the counselors and out of the classroom professionals that were going to be assisting with that. That's going to really help, just because I would rather use my time planning than calling.
Yeah, can I speak to that, Ms. Conde? Actually, we created that list last week, and it's ongoing. So what the counselors have asked everyone to do, I posted that Google link. I sent it out to everyone yesterday, and they've already been calling everyone. And what they're doing is they're cross-referencing, because let's say you and I have the same students, which we do, Ms. Conde, you and I.
Right.
So they've been looking at, okay, Trujillo hasn't heard, Conde hasn't heard, we need to get a hold of the student, right? But if it's just one class, that could be the teacher. That could be the teachers just relying on Blackboard Connect and not physically calling. So that's why as you're posting the names of those students, guys, it's really important that you also list the action you've taken to attempt to contact these students, because it could just be that they're just ignoring you. You know, who knows, right? At this time, they don't want to be stressed out by packets that you're giving them, you know, so just know that they are working on it, but they need as much detail from us as possible to make this, you know, streamlined.
Mr. Trujillo, so I have a question. So this morning I sent this thing on Blackboard Connect to every student. Hey, you need to, now what was the notification that I sent them? That you need to do the recent assignments. So maybe some of them already sent it to me, but I sent it to everyone. But my question is, it'll only go to them, these messages, if the phone numbers are like the updated numbers.
Yeah.
So what do I put on that
That's a good question.
Excel sheet? What do I put on the Excel sheet? What I did as of today? Like, do I say send a message to all students in my classes?
You can write that you sent a Blackboard Connect message, but just note that you're right. You're assuming that the phone number is accurate, and you're assuming that they actually listened to the message. So that's a start, but that may not be enough. So that's why, Mr. Chandra, it's important so that the counselors can follow up for you.
I know.
So just be as detailed as possible.
So did you want me to just say that on that Excel sheet that I sent a message on Blackboard Connect to all my students?
Yes, please. That's what everyone has been doing.
I'll do
just
that.
like what the actions are. So, you know, email, phone call, in person, Blackboard, whatever, as detailed as possible.
Yeah. Yes.
Right. So, you know, normally during, you know, regular school days, if we're not able to get a hold of the student, if the numbers are incorrect, obviously, are we still sending out PSAs?
Actually, yes. Ms. Bush is one of the people, the out of classroom that Ms. Conde mentioned. She's the one that's actually calling as well. So as far as like doing in-home visits, we haven't gotten to that yet, but, you know, we may have to, because, well, the good news is that the list that we originally had was pretty large. It was like 60 something students that they haven't contacted. I looked at it today and it's like less than 20. So it's working. That's the good news, but it's all on us, right? If we're not updating that list, if we're not doing more than just, you know, posting an assignment on Schoology, these are like desperate times, right? So desperate measures, like we have to call, and I know it's asking a lot. That's why the counselors and Ms. Bush have offered to help us with this. I'm going to go ahead and jump around room to room, guys, but this breakout group feature is pretty cool. If you haven't used it already, students love it because they get to, you know, chat like this, but it's really important that you do this, that you jump around from room to room, because you never know what could be going on, you know? So I'm going to go to another room, and then I'm going to kick you out of the rooms. Okay. Thanks, guys.
Okay.
Hey, guys.
All I can say is I'm, hey, there you go.
Just doing my rounds.
Yeah.
How's it going? How's it going here? What are you guys talking about?
The breakout situation is really wonderful. And I was just sharing that, you know, some people are going to be like you, which, you know, very, you know, task oriented and really innovative and really disciplined. Other people are going to be, you know, like me, who I feel like I'm just on the verge of like some kind of a breakdown. So just understanding that we all, you know, need each other. We all will learn more during this period of time than perhaps ever in our professional lives. And that we all bring something positive to this. And we need to understand that we're all reacting differently and we all have our own individual stressors. And I believe without question that we'll come through the other side collectively with a greater capacity to serve each other and to serve our young people. And I think to some measure, as human beings, you know, we'll come out of this with a reflective experience of what am I capable of? You know, where are my strengths? How vulnerable can I allow myself to be? And I believe that is how we can turn just a horrific situation into a positive one. And so, you know, the breakout session, thank you for showing it to us. It's allowed us to have a conversation. I've been talking a lot. So Sabrina and Calderon, you can, you know, share your thoughts as well with Egan.
Yeah. It's just nice to hear how, I guess, all of us are just connecting over this. Like, it's bringing everybody together. I feel like even though we might not be feeling the most positive feelings right now, I think it's important to have this type of interaction and we see each other even though we're not doing that physically right now. So like we just said, we're just going to take things one day at a time, see how we're feeling, and just, you know, learn from everything. That's all we can really do right now.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's, you know, sharing, right, our personal daily lives and the way we've been feeling, both, you know, personal and job-wise, is really important. I really like this, you know, session.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys get a chance to talk about the discussion questions also?
No, that was my fault.
Okay, no, it's okay. I just wanted to check in though, because I'm making my rounds to all the groups, and the questions basically related to like what additional supports or resources you guys think you need from myself, Mr. Gurr, admin, ITD, the district, you name it. Like what else do you think we need or you need personally to support remote learning at this time?
We want you to look through that telescope behind you. And we want you.
Oh yeah, that's my big boy. I have 4 telescopes.
We want you to look into the heavens.
I do. I always do.
And look for help.
That's funny.
This feature is really cool, but I also suggest that you make your rounds because, you know, they're kind of unattended like in the classroom. So I'm constantly just walking around with this. So I'm going to go ahead and leave this room. I have 1 more to go, and then I'm going to collapse all the rooms and we'll meet up to debrief.
Great.
Okay?
Thanks, Ethan.
All right.
Okay.
That's why
they made it more complicated than it needs to be, you know, with this new grading scheme.
Very real.
Well, you know, yeah, that's my. How about you, Arzo?
I think that it will be more confusing. It'll actually, I think, you know, discourage students more, because I think when they get confused, they get discouraged.
Yeah, I agree.
So, I mean, for me,
I'm not changing it.
Yeah, for me, I think it's like I'm all for, you know, modifying, because you have that override, that grade override, and if there's extenuating circumstances, keeping their grade to where it was before we left is totally fine, you know.
You guys discussing mastery grading?
Yeah, but I mean, come June, at that point, they're gonna have a month to figure it out. So then that's a different conversation. But for this April 1st, I think looking at it holistically and seeing, you know, did this kid reach out to me, or is this kid hasn't attended at all? Have I talked to the counselors? The counselors reach out to them? Then you can talk about, you know, modifying the grade and doing that override and just keeping the grade as it was on March 13th. That's how I look at it, at least.
How many students do you guys have that you haven't like heard from like at all?
Not many.
Yeah,
just
for me,
I just have 2.
20.
Probably like 5 for the whole. But you know, those are the kids that I have like they have to see a PSW or so on, and so
Yeah.
the counselor's been informed.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's the kids who really were not doing work when we were in school. So it's pretty much they just carried that over into this
Yeah,
period
yeah.
of time.
But then, so then Arzu, so then what are you going to do then for those 20 students? Because I think that's the whole,
So
I don't do mastery grading and I don't agree with it personally, but then what are you
yeah,
going to do for those 20 students?
I mean, I put them all on the list, and counselors have been getting back to me in terms of like what parents have been saying, and some of the parents are saying, oh, we're gonna get a device, or you know, I'll make sure they're on it and stuff. But for me, it's like if you know, I haven't seen them since March 16th or whenever we left, then I think there's like a deeper issue there where I can you know, modify the grade, but come June, then that's a whole different story.
Yeah.
You know, then there's a different set of circumstances that we have to take into consideration. But for April 1st, being lenient, I think is fair.
Yeah. And were those, you said the counselors got back to you, so do you know if those students were the ones that went to go pick up devices this past Thursday?
I know one student might have shown up on Thursday. The others, I'm not entirely sure. I think the others, it was the fact that the parents didn't know what was going on, and then they got informed, and then so now we'll see if they show up, or at least turn in stuff on Schoology. I'm pretty flexible on that.
Yeah. So this little breakout room feature, I'm making all my rounds, but it is important that you monitor and go around to all of them. So that's what I've been doing. So I'm going to close these rooms in a second, but did you guys get a chance to discuss my little reflection that I posted for you guys?
We got a little sidetracked.
Okay,
Honestly.
no worries. But I just wanted to ask you because, you know, I'm also the school's MDM. So the question was, are there any other additional resources that myself, Mr. Gurr, the admin, or ITD can support you in remote learning?
Well, I had a question. If we do a Zoom session, because I noticed we're not supposed to record students, but if kids can't be at the session time, you want to have an archive, right? So you just turn off the visual. Is that how you do it? Or
Yeah, so that was one of the features I showed you earlier, Patrick, was that you can actually turn off everyone's camera from settings. That way it'll only show the name. You can actually mute everyone and turn off their cameras the entire time as you record. So yes.
So that's what you do then, and then you can archive it and not be in any liability issue.
Yeah, exactly. That's only an option. Of course, they haven't figured out every single legal loophole because, I mean, this is an emergency situation that we're talking about. But yeah, of all possibilities, you know, I'm sure there's a way. But yes, you can control at least the camera feature, the muting feature, the background features. You can control those things at the very least. And there are other features that we don't have access to because of our account type. Like, for example, the polling feature. I haven't been able to figure out how to turn it on. But Mr. Cruz says that he has his own account. And next week when we meet up, he's going to show us how to use it. But any other questions or supports that you guys think, not even me, but you think that the school can provide us?
This one, clarification. According to UTLA, the only way to access Zoom was through Schoology. It said that for the guidelines on the use of Zoom has to be accessed through Schoology.
Okay. Is that a question or clarification?
No, clarification. Because right now, like for example, I'm not accessing Zoom through Schoology.
So I worked with the district and ITD to put it on the app, so they know that we're using it this way. They know that we're using it as an app with our students. They're the ones that approved all this.
But the kids would have to go into Schoology and then access Zoom?
They don't have to. They can go through the app that I put on the iPad or
Oh, that's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I pushed it out last week.
So basically, ignore that guideline that was sent out then on the use of Schoology. I mean, it's the Schoology of Zoom.
So you're saying Schoology is built into, Zoom is built into Schoology, or are you talking about conferencing?
So it said three things to so it said there. See if I could hold on.
You can share the screen if you have it in front of you.
No, I'm using my iPhone, so it's kind of my computer doesn't have a camera nor a microphone, so I have to go iPhone. Hold on. All right. You guys continue while I look for the thing.
But what is it that you're getting at exactly, Mr. Vilma? I don't think I
The
understand.
guidelines. The guidelines that was the guidelines set on the guidelines set regarding use of Zoom. And let me see. Gosh, so I get like bombarded with so many emails.
UTLA had like 3 guidelines that they were saying, and one of them is like you can only access Zoom through Schoology, for privacy reasons. And then the other one was like don't have meetings by yourself, and then don't record. And that was like
okay, yeah, similar one. That one, yep. That one was released by the legal department of LAUSD, so that we don't get in trouble if we use Zoom with students.
So we're asking, because I already set up my own Zoom ecosystem using another account, because this was before the whole district got on with the Zoom on the Zoom train. So like I'm still using it through my app on my computer, and it has all my meetings set up and everything. So is it okay to still do that?
I would talk to the principal then if that's your concern. But you know, she's even told us to use Zoom. I think even the meeting today was a Zoom PD. So I guess I can't really answer that for you.
I'm not really concerned, honestly.
But Mr. Villamil, yeah, just take it up with the principal then.
Yeah, I'm not, you know, I'm following the other guidelines.
Okay.
One last question.
Yeah.
That sample lesson you showed us, how long would you give your students to do that? Would that be like?
I'm doing that in a week. Yeah, it's not a daily. That's too much.
Yeah.
It's like a week.
Okay.
So I'm going to go ahead and close out these breakout sessions because we're going to conclude the meeting. But pretty cool, right? The little breakout groups.
Yeah, it is.
All right, guys. All right. See you in a bit. All right, so everyone's leaving their breakout rooms now. And you're seeing me here. Yeah, everyone's coming back. Yeah, Cruz, for sure. If you can share that with me, because I want to be able to do polling.
Hello.
All right, everyone's coming back now. Good.
Okay.
All right, so we're all coming back. How'd you like the breakout rooms?
That's great. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, and as we wait for everyone to get back, there are some additional features that we don't have access to with our LAUSD account. It's kind of limited, but some of the other features, myself and Mr. Cruz will explore and hopefully share them with you very soon, because there are so many things you can do with this, and I know
but you have to have Zoom Pro for that, right?
That's a Mr.
I have
Cruz
Zoom
special.
But
right,
Mr. Gurr, yes, it did have to do with ecosystems and moving around.
All right, guys. So I thank you for your time. I thank you for being on this journey with us, Ms. Conde. Thank you for joining us today, and Mr. Gurr. I'll post this recorded session onto the Franklin PD group, and if possible, guys, since we're not, meeting each other bi-weekly, I'd like to have weekly PDs with you if you guys don't mind, because the ILT we're going to be meeting every Thursday, right, Mr. Gurr? So is every Tuesday afternoon okay with you guys? Frequency okay?
Could we have it at 3 p.m.? Is that possible?
Yeah, absolutely.
Egon, we also have specialty meetings scheduled.
What day?
Tuesdays, I think. It was Patrick, is it Tuesday or
I don't know. I thought it was April 2nd. What day is April 2nd? Is that
April 2nd is Thursday.
Oh, yeah.
Thursday. Okay, all right, okay, that's fine.
We can move the day around, but I'm just saying I'd like to have a weekly meeting.
Mr. Trujillo, I have on Tuesdays and Thursdays my Zoom meeting set up with my AP Chem starting at 4. So if we do anything on Tuesday, it has to be either 2 or 3, and I have to exit or end the meeting at 4 sharp because I have to be ready for my other class.
In our Franklin PD group, what I'm going to ask all ILT leads to do is post the schedule for all weekly meetings. And so we'll come to a consensus amongst us, because I hear you, Ms. Ramachandran, and I do my classes Monday, Wednesday, Friday as well. We'll just find a day that works for all, and then I'll make sure all the ILT leads post it on the Franklin PD. Does that work
Let's
for everyone?
first ask everyone and
I will.
then see, take it from there. Yeah.
I will.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, guys. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Good question.
Bye, guys.
You know, Friday is a holiday. Are we expected to send out assignments, do work with students, and then the weekend?
You mean next Friday?
The spring break, week of spring break.
No, it's
From
spring
the
break.
3rd to the 13th, right?
Friday you're off, and spring break you're off.
Yeah, you're off.
Take care of yourself.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Thank you, Mr. Gur.
Bye, guys.
Will spring break start the 3rd?
The 3rd, yes.
Third,
Okay.
Friday.
Okay, bye.
Bye, guys.
Okay, bye.